How you doing? This is the Not Slender Man edition of The Guy from Pittsburgh, and this is The Guy from Pittsburgh. And I listened to Noory tonight, had election fraud on and someone talking about Hat Man. I'll listen to that later. But there's a reason why I don't listen to Noory as much as I could. I can't take the craziness, the stupidity. But I listened to his Crap to Crap Halloween special. Oh, yeah, a couple things. I got a new book. It's actually not new. This is from 1978. And this is a compilation of a bunch of paperbacks. This is by Alan Landsberg. This is, oops, let me get that in there. In Search of. Got that for $2 at the library, so I'll be reading that and adding that to my paranormal books. And I called the mysterious Brad Julio, and I got a hold. He called me, of all things. Now, he lives in Maryland, and I told him not to let Obama find him because his job, he has a family-owned business that he works for, but he's right over the border from Pennsylvania, goes to Pittsburgh a lot, and he sells coal and wood. And he sells coal to the evil power companies that Obama hates. And by the way, speaking of Obama and such things, today's election day. Even if you don't like the Republicans, you're not a Democrat, you are a Democrat, you don't like to vote, go vote if you haven't voted, because there are propositions on the ballot, local and state, that affect you. So go out and vote. I've already voted. Okay, so Brad Julio calls me. We have a long talk about chicken soup. Apparently, he made the chicken soup recipe that I suggested, and he got well, and it must be a miracle. And his wife likes my videos, so hi, Brad Julio, and hello, Justin. And it's going to be freezing up there in Minnesota. And you had 500 idiots. Started out as 3,000. Showed up at the Viking Stadium to protest the Redskins' name, and I'll deal with that in the next video. But anyway, getting back to Noory, I listened to his Crap to Crap show, and, well, it's getting pretty bad when the host said he's not going to ask the callers any questions, and he says it's their night, and then he proceed to tell a not ghost story exactly of his own. This guy and his wife are fighting. She can't take it anymore. She got out to the garage, closes the garage door, turns on the engine, gets in the car, and she's going to kill herself with carbon monoxide. Husband's sleeping. During the night, some guy goes and says, wake up, Bob, repeatedly. Goes out, finds her, opens the garage door, turns off the engine, pulls her out of the car, and saves her, and she's alive. They're no longer married, and George, that story creeps me out. Well, the thing that creeps me out is when George makes repeated dumb comments. And tonight's comment of the night was, oh yeah, as George did his Mr. Kool-Aid Man imitation when a caller called in about a story of a former state prison in Ohio. No, he didn't say anything else, just, oh yeah. And then when he, later on in another ghost story, guy tells about something really creepy and really strange, and George starts laughing. Well, tonight on the laugh-o-meter, there were 6 George Noor laughs. There was also one creepy kid story. And the best story of the night, and it indicates the big difference between George Noor and Art Bell. And I'm going to eat some ice cream here, partly in protest of the anti-milk guy, and partly because I love chocolate ice cream, so excuse me. I don't eat this as much as I used to, but you get cravings. Well, this guy, he gets a call from this guy who was in the Navy, and he describes what he had to wear at a function in Perth, Australia. And he sees these two goth chicks, and their skins are pale white. And they come over toward the guy, and one of them brushes against him, and he says she's ice cold. There's no transfer of something I didn't understand. And she looks at him when she walks off as if, yeah, you know who I am, but who would believe you? And he says she's 15 degrees colder than a normal human being. There was no warmth in her skin. So he thinks they were two vampires. He goes back to the ship. No one's reported missing. No one's reported hurt. And yet, if I were Noory, I would ask, what did you think of? Did you get a chance to check the local papers, the news stations, the radio stations, see if anybody got hurt at this party or disappeared or was mysteriously injured? But did Noory do any of that? No. Just letting her, oh, that's creepy. So, and the best call of the night was Noory gets a call from JC. And JC calls him up to bitch about Halloween. And Noory had said that he thought JC was dead. And JC gets all ticked off about Noory saying he's dead. And then he says trick-or-treaters are guilty of extortion and strong-arm robbery because they're going up to doors and asking people for candy. And then to top it off, he said, oh, this is the best call of the night. But it's pretty bad when on Ghost to Ghost, JC's the best call of the night next to the vampire call. Anyway, he says it goes back to the Druids. And the Druids would go door to door doing blood sacrifices. And they would use people's bathrooms and back up their sewage lines so the sewage would overflow and go out the door. So, I guess they had to have a Druid Roto-Rooter guy come out and clean up the sewage after the Druids use people's bathrooms. Now, I get to see this. Here's Stonehenge. They're out there, they're blue skin, and they're wearing their animal skins. And they're, now, Stonehenge out in the middle of nowhere, but they're going to go door to door on Halloween and bang on the door of the hut. Can we use your bathroom? Except they didn't have any bathrooms back then. They had outhouses. So I don't know how the hell they used it. Maybe they overflowed the outhouses. Because indoor plumbing wasn't invented until the 1800s. So you had Druids and sewage. Oh, God. And I almost fell off the couch. I was listening on my iPad. And that was easily the best call of the night. And, Noory's making fun of JC, and JC's getting more PO'd. And then Noory goes, the ghost calls. And at the end of the show, Noory tells some story that I couldn't even figure out what was going on. But, he has people calling up with people going to a lake, and the guy gets dragged in by some creature, just about drowned. And he gets other stories, and he had some woman talking about haunted places in Tennessee or Kentucky. But Brad Julio, I talked to, said this was a really lame Ghost to Ghost. And that's the big difference between George and Art Bell. And Free Art Bell, Art made it interesting. Art asked probing and incisive questions. And I don't mean anal probing. And Noory just sits there. And another thing he does I can't stand. One of Art's bitches at premiere was the constant. They were constantly bugging him to run more and more commercials, and he was trying to run less and less commercials because he felt it detracted from the show. And Noory will go and he'll say something about the show. And then he'll cut to a commercial, and then he'll come back and have bumper music, and the narrator will come on. You can listen to Coast, this and this, and Streamlink, and yada yada, and Beyond Bold Bleep. And then they cut to another commercial. Oh, yeah, another thing. He had Peter Davenport on. There was a blue light special over Michigan or Florida or somewhere. Blue lights in the sky, red lights in the sky, white lights in the sky. And what does Noory do? He turns the Peter Davenport UFO report into a plug for Noory's going to Toronto this weekend. So it's constant, look at me. I'm going to invade Toronto. So people of Toronto, a warning, it's not the zombie apocalypse. It's going to be the Noory apocalypse. He's going to be in your town this weekend. So if you value your sanity, run for your lives. So that was Noory's Ghost to Ghost, where he told two stories that he could have been used for people to call in. Oh, yeah, he wouldn't let people call in. Noory has a screener, but now he's screening Ghost to Ghost. He gets email submissions, and as the people call in, or maybe they record the stuff, that's why I didn't answer questions. I got a feeling it's all pre-recorded. And he has them call up, and they tell their stories, and he just sits there. This is not exciting radio. It's the Snoremaster at his worst. I mean, you don't have guys call in and tell their story. One of the joys of Art Bell was you had the spontaneity, where you never knew what was going to happen, particularly on Ghost to Ghost, the best show of the year, except for Art's prediction show. And you never knew what was going to go on. But with Snorri, it's going to be snore making. You're going to be falling asleep. Or you're going to be going, why is he letting out creepy laughs? Oh, that's really creepy. Haha. Guy told a story that was creepy, and at the end, George started laughing. What is with the crazed laughs? I have something pulling me into a lake. I'm not going to be laughing when someone tells me about, oh, that's really funny. Glad you didn't drown. So, there used to be the old Zorro program, Out of the Night When the Moon is Bright. The bold renegade makes a Z with his blade. Well, out of the night when the moon is bright, the mustachioed man makes a C with his blade, a C that stands for crapo. And that's what we had with Crap to Crap. All right, this is the guy from Pittsburgh. Hello, Brad Julio. Hello, Justin. Somewhere out there is the beautiful and lovely Mayan Cat. Oh, yeah, one other thing. We are getting a lot of small quakes in this area. Had two more in Rodeo, 10 miles up the road. And we had 2 4s when that guy from Oakland predicted the end of the world. And about 5 miles from here, Pacheco, another Pacheco quake. We're getting a lot of small quakes on this side of the bay, not Napa and not Vallejo, but we're getting quakes over there too. So I think something's going to be happening here. And there's a guy on the web, I can't find his website. He says that when there's quakes in the Atlantic Ocean, that it causes quakes to happen over here. And there were 6 huge quakes in the mid-Atlantic within the last couple of days. So don't be surprised if the Bay Area gets a big quake soon. All right, I'm out of here. Going to do the next video. And hope you enjoyed your Halloween. I picked my Steelers, and Monday night I got that right. So I'm going to sit down today and figure out how many I picked, so that when I do my next video, I can give you my results. Okay, I'll catch you next time. Have a great day, and don't remember, go vote. Bye-bye.